Without further ado, I would like to invite our first keynote speaker, Mr. Patrick Bensen, an organizational psychologist and organizational change consultant. He's also a director at the Leader of Tomorrow Institute. Please welcome Patrick.
Thank you everyone, and good afternoon. I think I'm going to share my screen right now, right? That's the best way I can do here. And today, oops, let me start my presentation here. All right. So today we're here to talk about what is important to recruit today. But before Derek talk more in details about the local market, I want to make a general presentation, a bit more general and a bit more adapt to the clinical psychology vision of the workplace. Let me, technically, I need to move something here because this is right in the middle of my screen and I don't see. Give me a second. 1 second. Yeah, okay. So yes, I'm Patrick Bensen, organizational psychologist. I work for Forbes magazine, also Forbes Business Council, where I write articles about workplace strategy, workplace psychology, workplace change management, about once a month for the last 2 years. I've been doing a lot of work with companies, Google, with YouTube, with many other companies, where I trying to help them to lead them to the new normal. That's why everyone call it the new normal. I don't call it new normal. I call it the now normal, since you cannot be new and normal. You have to be either normal or new. You can be both. So I think I changed the term to the now normal, because the good old time, that means the 2 years ago, is not coming back, I think. And not only I think, many experts in this field think that what we're going to create now is not based on what was before. Before we start, we're going to talk about the workplace, very basic psychology, and especially relationship. I hear a lot of people asking me, how do we build trust, or how we have trust, how we can make people obey even? I had this question. One of the managers from Google asked me, how do I make my employee obey me? And I say, well, the only way you can do that is to join the army and maybe point a gun at the person. Now, if you don't want to do that, you have to build trust. And trust is not an app, it's not a button to press, it takes time. So here's the basic. And that's why I do the coffee shop here. Imagine you visiting the coffee shop, this coffee shop here for the first time, and you ask for a coffee. If you're unpolite, if you're very rude, what will happen? They will kick you out and ask you never come back again. That's the end of any human interaction. Now, if you politely ask for your coffee and you show respect, they will not only serve you, they will welcome you next time. That's the basic. Respect. Now, keep in mind, because we're going to talk about it a little bit later today. If you come back every day and you start exchanging with a person, the barrister here, then and asking, hey, how was your exam? How did you go? You know, did you manage to pass that, or did you move? Did you find an apartment? I overheard you start caring about that person. Now, caring is the second stage of human interaction. Showing empathy, showing caring. If you come every day again, and then one day you say, look, I'm going to be away for a week. Can I park my car just outside, and you move it when you want, or you can even use it yourself? Here's the key. This is trust. Now, trust is stage 3. Now, that bundle become friendship. You respect your friend, you care for your friend, you trust your friend, and it's also mutual. It goes both ways. Now, it's very important to remind you that, because in many workplaces, the politeness is not even there. And if it's just barely there, there's no caring or empathy. There's a lot of courses for leaders to show empathy. That means they haven't passed stage 2. And they're talking about trust already. They're not there yet. Now, any forced relationship could look like this. In any forced relationship, it's one imposing the will on the others, the condition. You do that and you have no choice. If you find yourself in the position of the manager, you might want to reconsider. And if you're in the position of that lady here, sewing a jean here, the question is like, if you had a choice to leave, would you stay one more seconds? Probably not. Maybe they stay here because they have no choice. And even if you have no choice, how long you think you can put up with it? What I'm getting at is that in any forced relationship, whether it's workplace, whether it is private, either way, a forced relationship will not last long. So if the relationship you have with your employees on the forced thing, like they have to obey me because I'm the boss, you in for a surprise, they will not last long, and especially the new generation. Now, tell me a quick example, a real example that I witnessed when I was working in Air Canada back in Vancouver. There was the new recruits. I was here to make some work and survey for Air Canada, and I was on the floor just watching what's happening. It was the beginning of the summer. There was a lot of people here. There was the queue was outside the building, and they were about to open the line to check in these people to fly to their destination. There was also, for the first time, the new recruit. They have been training for 4 months, and it was their first day on the floor. Now, as the line was about to open, one lady was using the phone and was texting her friends. And as they finally opened and the other start serving customers, she was still texting. What the manager did, they came and asked the lady, say, look, excuse me, could you put the phone down because the work has started and you have a long queue in front of you? And she said, excuse me, the cat of my best friend went missing. And this is much more important than your stupid job. And she left. Now, what happened to the line? Since there was no other employee, the manager had to take the line because that's the only way. And so now who's managing the team? No one. So what else could we do? This is what I call a forced relationship. You do that or you get out. And you do that with the millennial, they go out immediately. No problem. He didn't expect that. So there's another way. Oh my God, you cat of your best friend in the meeting? What kind of cat? Excuse me, sir, it will just take 1 more minute. We have a technical difficulty here and the person is away from the line. So you say, I'll be with you shortly. Don't worry, you won't miss your flight. You take 3 more minutes to talk about a cat. You empathize. You show you care. You say, please, by all means, finish your text and let me know if you find a text. At lunchtime, you go back and you say, did you find the cat? Oh my God, after work, if you want, I can help you to look for it. You make a friend for life. You ask this person to stay longer, she will follow you to hell and back. Or you can get fired immediately. Now, the workplace has shifted or is shifting, hopefully, from the first model, do that or else, to showing empathy and care. But any forced relationship, as you know, won't last long. Now, what's happening with the job market today? We have identified 3 kind of problems when it comes to recruitment. The pool of candidates is shrinking. Why is shrinking? Because working from home has shown millions that they could handle and do the same work or even better from home, like this picture, from a very comfy bed. Why go back to work? And if I can do the work from home, maybe I can do something else, or maybe I can start my own company. But the gap between working for yourself and working for others have narrowed, because while I'm here, and since no one is watching what I'm doing, I'm going to finish my job. But if I finish my job earlier, maybe I also help my friends because she just opened a coffee shop. And maybe I do the website, the marketing, and I do the flyers. And you become multitasker and more than before. And you're going to start on contract, what we call the gig economy. I'm not going to explain too much about that, but you're taking gigs and you're going like this. The pool of candidates might have been seriously reduced because of those 2 factors and other factors we're going to talk about in a minute. When you are going to recruit again, it might not be as many candidates as before because they don't want to go back to the old normal. Problem number 2. The fear has been growing within company. When the COVID arrived, they thought it was a joke. That's the normal will come back within 1 or 2 months, maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months. They were not prepared to go for 2 years and counting. Europe just closed down their doors again yesterday, and so many other countries. And everyone is vaccinated, and they still have numbers over the roof in COVID. So the normal that we experience today is not about to go anytime soon, and we will have to live with that, and we will have to adapt as a company to what's happening. Company feel pressure, of course. It has been a disruption with all the containers and all the supply chain has been difficult, and so it has been a lot of pressure on many companies. Now, when a company got the pressure, what they do? They either lost revenue, but they keep everybody on board, or to keep the equal revenue and to maintain the stakeholder very happy. What they're doing? They're saving money. The only way you can save money is to fire people. And so when you have this strategy, you look scary for your employee. So if you're already on the verge of deciding if you're going to stay in a company, and if the company shows a face that I've very good illustrated here, you might want to think twice, or not even thinking at all, and leaving the company. A company that is pushing employee by fear, forced relationship, threatening to fire you, or if you don't know you're going to be fired next month, doesn't build any trust whatsoever. Third problem, the people that receive, the people on the other side of the finger are younger and younger, and that's good because that's the way it works in life. The Millennial and Generation Z don't buy the old-fashioned company package. They don't want the cruise ship. This is not the way they travel. They don't want the package of the sandwich at Subway. Maybe they're vegetarian and they don't eat that. They're not interested in your Super Friday arcade game because they don't play arcade game. They play some other game. They're not interested in a tennis table thing, or is not a generation, and they couldn't care less. Neither the old management style to be the boss. They don't buy that either. Neither do they buy the ego, power trip of a person that finally get there after years of being waiting for, and finally experience the full array of being the boss. That's all ego trip, power trip. It's not well received as a generation. And as a reminder, old-fashioned meant 2 years ago. So whatever was done 2 years ago was not really good already for this generation. And now, having shown that we can do something else, they're not going to buy it at all, ever again. And they also, and there's a lot of survey that prove that they would rather get less money, but more freedom. Remember, we're not in a time where we working for 40 years and then experiencing life when we retired. We're not in this time anymore. We want to do all of it together. We have the yoga course before I go to work, and then I stop at my favorite coffee shop where I can answering my email. Then I pack my mobile office, if you like, and I go to meet my best friend. When I'm with my best friend, I'm going to share a lunch, but also I'm going to finish my email I didn't do and do something else. Now I have to go to my chiropractor because my back hurting me. That's at 2 o'clock, and then eventually we go. And tonight there's a theater rehearsal. I just joined theater, and I want to do that. It's very important for my self-development. Finally, on the weekend, I will go to a retreat where I will not be able to answer any email or do any work because it's my personal development. This is the life today. And in between those gaps, we're working. And it works pretty well if you let the people do that. So the company, what it can do, instead of like showing forces, they have to build what we call a psychology healthy workplace, a safe workplace, where you develop, you remember the thing caring, so showing respect, the care, and the trust. Excuse me. A place where every opinion are equal and valued, because a good idea comes from anyone. The workplace was very vertical, still is very vertical in so many places, where the people that's supposed to think are the thinker, and the people that's supposed to execute are below. Now, if someone that's supposed to execute a better idea, there's no place for him to express the better idea, and there's no place for him to change the rules of the way it's done, because the thinker don't think or didn't think that way. And we follow the rules as he always been. It doesn't mean he was the best. Now we want a sort of vertical company. We want a horizontal company where everyone that deserves the t-shirt or the apron have something to say. And maybe what they have to say is actually, you don't know in this picture who is the manager and who is the employee. There is one manager and one employee, but it could be either or. And that's the good news. You don't know which one is. A place where I can express my feelings safely. Not only I can express good idea for the work, it's also a place where I grow. I spend 8 hours at my work or more. I'm still living at the same time. I don't put my life on hold. So if something happening to me while I'm working, I need to talk about it safely. It's not work related though. Still, it's happening in my life, and I should let at least people I'm working with, my colleagues or my supervisor, to know what's happening. And not only because your mom just passed away, not that kind of thing, but any kind of other trouble that is not that aggravated. Frustration, anger, jealousy, if you let them express themselves in a way where all this anger, frustration, jealousy, relationship, goal, new ideas, mental health, stress, anxiety, and so much, if you let it flow freely, you will not build more. It's like the snowball. If you melt it before you can make a snowball, then there's no snowball. If you don't do it, you make an avalanche of a small thing. A place where I feel valued and appreciated, and where I will not feel afraid of being fired at the first mistake. In this very stressed financial environment, we want perfection. They demand so much, but mistake is part of the human being. We do mistake. That's the only way to learn. Now, if I know that if I do a mistake, it's going to be reviewed, analyzed in a nice way, in an open space, in a safe place where I can express, and I know no matter what, I'm not going to be fired, because there's maybe another way to to get back my mistake or to make it better. But it's all the investment that the company have invested in me not go through the door at the first mistake. If I know I can work in a place like this, then I will stay. I will stay. That means I will not do my own stuff on the side, because I feel valued, I feel appreciated. It's a place where I can grow. It's a place where my opinion are appreciated and welcome. In a place like this, well, I really want to be there because I love my colleagues or my manager, because they love me back. With trust and relationship and caring is shared, then I will not go. So you have to send this message if you're a company, an employer. The hiring situation is in crisis because 2 years ago, as you know, we closed the economy, but the economy has not been really closed because the company are making more money than before. Of course, some went away and never come back, but some have actually lived the dream and making more money than before. So the money being there, even more than before, we need, the pool of money is either the same as before or bigger, as new value were added during pandemic, which is what I'm just talking about. And what changed is the way to make businesses and the way to deal with employee. So basically, you still can hire, but you have to make extra effort to say, okay, what do we need to tell those new recruits? What do we need to attract them, and how we will maintain and retain them? This is very important to think again and rethink a strategy. This is what we call, in short, a company culture. The company culture has to change. That's my opinion, and has to be reviewed at least. But we still need people to run the business unless we only go all machine. And the winner are the ones sending this clear signal out that your company is the best place. Now, there is a lot of awards that is the best place to work. You know, you probably heard like the best place, the best employee. All of these awards, and sorry to break it to you, but all these awards is something you can just add. The way they work, because I work for the American Psychology Association on the only free award in this planet called the APA Psychology Healthy Workplace Award. It's completely free of charge, but we do some work to assess if the company deserves that award. Any other award, and I really mean that, any other, is just a matter of you have the money, you buy it, you get it, FedEx deliver on your door, Amazon, and you get it. It's like buying a book. I want to buy a book. I went online, I order the award, I pay the award, they send the award, and it's done. That's the way they work. There's no survey, there's nothing, there's no work being done, or very minimal done that make you deserve. So when you see that employee deserve for the 5 years in a row have the best employee, the best turnover, they just bought it. Sorry to break it to you. So assess in different way. If you're about to join a company, don't read the best award. It's something that you can also buy yourself if you want to, and decorate your bedroom with it. But the real assessment has to be done. Ask questions on the recruitment, and if you're an employer, make sure that you can put this fake award if you want to, but mainly show compassion and empathy. That would be a lot better. Post-pandemic fear. Once the fear will be gone, or has gone, hopefully soon, and we resume a sort of normal life. Normal life, yes, as a personal life, it will be sort of normal life, like we travel again and see our friends on the other side of the planet without too much test and thing. But the company will start recruiting again. And that's hopefully coming very, very soon. Yeah, start already, but hopefully more will come because the fear will be gone. And so they will start recruiting. Now, recruiting who? Those who start their new company, those who have sworn never to return to the 3 hours commuting each way, those who are actually doing pretty well by themselves. Recruitment strategy will be met with heavy challenges. First, less candidates. 2, less job attraction unless you change the culture and everything we just talked about. 3, different generation. That's not new, but it has been in phases and reinforced by the COVID situation that the new generation will not settle with the old way of recruiting. Very few will go for it. If they do go for it, they would because they have no choice because they need to eat. But as I say in the beginning of the presentation, they will not last very long. As soon as they got, like about 85% of people are looking for a job anytime, any day, whether they have a job or not. That means those who don't have a job, obviously looking for a job, but those who do have a job, they're also looking for a way out of their prison job. And that's overcharged the recruitment process because everyone is constantly looking for a job all the time, whether they have a job or not, meaning 85% of people working are not satisfied with the job they just signed. Company can do, and only company can change that. Change what the reward is, change the company culture, change everything about it, and then they might not look for other people. That's one way to retain talent. They also have different goals. Maybe they want to travel the world. Maybe they lost people in the COVID situation. They lost their mother, their father, and that changed their goal in life. And maybe that very attractive company, they were their goal since they were 15 years old, has changed because now the taste of life has changed. And then there's something we barely talk about, and I'm going to touch about a few seconds. AI, crypto, and social media. So we know social media already, and we heard recently, we psychologists knew that social media was not good for the being and the human being and the mental health of this being. Now with the Facebook leak, We know there's some employee have accusing Facebook and all the social media, Facebook mainly, but all the social media, that is actually a nightmare for your cognitive and the way you see yourself, your self-image, your confidence, especially when you're young age. So social media is not your friend. Crypto, well, you can flip a coin and see if you have a head or a tail. At the moment, there's a lot of controversy. Crypto has been forbidden by China, which is the largest market. So it's we'll see where it goes. People invest heavily in crypto, and some countries just removed it completely. And AI on top of that is coming, and it's not coming sometime the next 50 years. It's coming sometime the next 5 months, maybe 2 years max. They have invested so much time and money in AI, they kind of ready. And I've been following quite closely development of AI in the Silicon Valley, because I got very good friends working for one of the best companies in the world there. And then I know how advanced they are and what they're about to offer very, very soon. One of them is Boston Robotic, based in Boston. They're not in Silicon Valley, but they're in Boston and also in Hong Kong. And believe me, they're ready. There's two ways of thinking. If you think that changing the company culture, changing everything else is too difficult, you can, one, wait for the machine to replace every human in your company, and you don't have to deal with emotion, with jealousy, with anything else that humans do. You will be more effective probably, and you can be the boss to the machine because the machine doesn't mind. But of course, you're going to lose what humans bring: creativity, compassion, consciousness, soul, solution made for consumer. Because who's consuming? The machine? No. The animals, yes, they consume, they have no money. So who is consuming and have money? This is the economic system is based on. Only us, only one species on this planet pay for the food. The machine don't need any food, just maintenance. And animals need food, but they don't pay for it. So we're the only one that pay for shelter and for food. And this is the base of our economic system, at least for the last 150 years, 200 years. It was a different system before, feudal system and other system before that. At the moment, that's what we have. As it has changed before, it might change again. At the moment, this is what we have. And I, as a psychologist, will always be on the side of the human. First of all, I am a human being. I cannot be side of the machine. I like gadgets. I like machine. I like when machine do the thing for me. But at the end of the day, this is the people that make a country. It's the people that make a mentality and that makes your company culture. It's based on people. So let's hope that we will never hear at a hospital doctor saying, I'm not too familiar with human anatomy, but I will send you my bot. He knows a lot more about human than I do. I hope I will never hear that. If I do hear that, please sign me into the next shuttle to Mars, and we will start a new civilization with human, hopefully. Hiring will send the message, your company is growing, and it's an economically viable situation for the people already there and for the new people that want to join. So let's go over the fear that we have been living over the 2 years, and let's send the right message. If you're managing a company, want to recruit, the time has come to make some adjustment, and the time has come to send the right message out there for the people looking for a job. And that's it for me. I have an institute called Leader of Tomorrow Institute, and I do training courses to managers and HR and recruiters that want to know in depth how we change what I just talked about.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you for providing such an insightful information. And again, the Q&A, we will have it in the later sessions after Derek. So now I would like to invite our second speaker, Mr. Derek Van Pelt, an interim managing director at Criterion Asia Recruitment. He also served as the president of the Thai-Canadian Chamber of Commerce. Please welcome Derek.
That's great, Jim. Thank you very, very much. Very much appreciated. And thank you for that, Patrick, as well. Tremendous presentation. You know, for me personally, I'm fascinated in where things differ, where things, you know, where people can look at the same thing and see different things. And I think a lot of this presentation that I'll have for everyone today dovetails very nicely with what you said, but a few things are a little bit different. And I think that's where some interest lies. So maybe we'll get to some Q&A about those issues towards the end. Of course, today we're speaking about labor trends, why you should be recruiting right now. A little bit about myself. Of course, I'm Derek Van Pelt. That's a photo there of my stunt double. I've been in Thailand since 1997. I do serve as the president of CanCham Thailand. I'm a serial entrepreneur and a partner at Stonelotus Ventures. Stonelotus Ventures, one of our investments presently is in this company that I'm in right now, Criterion Asia Recruitment. Criterion Asia Recruitment was founded in 2013. The company has rapidly risen to become one of the leading HR service firms in Thailand. It was invested in by Stonelotus, again, where I'm a partner, several years ago. And we really find that the value that Criterion Asia Recruitment provides to the market comes from a commitment to 4 specific pillars of success. So let's say the Criterion Recruitment value proposition includes four pillars: quality over quantity. When you're looking for staff and looking for people to join your team, you don't want a group of people that's just going to send you a pile of resumes. You want someone to go through some work and filter before that's one of our value propositions. Consultant expertise, I'll talk a little bit more about our consultants shortly. But of course, you want to have people that are professionals in the industries that they are recruiting into. Expertise in each vertical. And we really live that every day here at Criterion. Further, we have a focus on soft skills. Particularly, we use personality assessment tools very aggressively. We have a project called Talent Today, which allows us to match client profiles with potential candidates. And then finally, face-to-face interviews. We're very keen on doing actual interviews with real people before presenting them to our clients. So why now? The reason that I wanted to speak and bring this to the crowd. I'm sorry, come again? So the reason that I wanted to bring this to everyone is that I wanted to bring my learning journey as interim managing director with the team of consultants at Criterion Asia Recruitment to the greater public. Of course, many of you know I don't come from a recruitment background, but I've been able to learn a lot here at the company and learn from the team here on the ground. And I'm very excited that there's a window of opportunity right now to make impactful decisions. I think it's fair to say that businesses can get by in good times, businesses can get by in bad times. But the most challenging environment for any organization is an uncertain time period. And these past 2 years have certainly been wildly uncertain. And it's made very many decision makers quite uncomfortable. Now, having said all that, if I'm able to share any wisdom with you today, it's not mine, but it's thanks to the hard work and dedication and experience of the Criterion Asia recruitment consultants here at our office. So I think we have a photo here of the team. There they are. So we have a small but merry team here, and there's a few photos of us recently, as you can see, with the masks on. So with that having been said, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this presentation. 4 reasons that you need to be hiring right now. And the 4 reasons, we'll go into them in more depth over the coming slides. But the 4 reasons are that, first of all, top talent is hard to get. We know that a wave of change is coming in the marketplace. Fortune favors the bold, and hiring is a signal to the market. So we'll deal with each of those in turn here now. So the first one, top talent is hard to get. We all know that finding top quality candidates is difficult at the best of times. And part of the reason for that is the best candidates, the best employees are usually very well taken care of by their companies. It's very difficult to poach them as a result. And the main way that someone like that, who's very well taken care of their company, the same way that they can be convinced to move to a new organization, is if they start to have doubts about the viability of their current company's future. Now, due to COVID, there is a lot of this uncertainty in the market. Many companies are uncertain about their futures. Many employees are uncertain about their company's security. And that means that they're receptive to good offers in the marketplace right now. Obviously, when the situation normalizes, that will be taken off the table and people will be a lot more comfortable where they are, and they don't want to take risks moving to a new organization. A second reason that we want to get looking right now is that we want to avoid being left over, being left with the leftover candidates. If your competitors, and we'll speak a little bit more about competitors here in a moment, but if your competitors are hunting now, and we know that a lot of sharp companies are, you'll get left out after everyone gets their year-end bonus. We know that the recruitment cycle is a long process. For management positions, it can be 4, 5, even 6 months sometimes. So at least 2 months, certainly. And if your competitors are out there and they're digging, looking under stones right now to try to uncover gems, by the time that people receive their bonuses early in the new year, if that's when you're starting to look for candidates, you're going to get left out. Okay. The next issue, a wave of change is coming. So we have a lot of data here, and one of the things I love about being in this position at Criterion is that we have access to a lot of data. We really are able to keep our finger on the pulse of what the market is telling us. And our data indicates that the coming year is going to see roughly a doubling of typical annual staff turnover. Things that are going to be important to staff in the new year or going forward are flexibility, a work-life balance, and being able to work from home or have flexibility in where people work from. These are all very strong competitive advantages that employees are looking for right now. Of course, unplanned turnover is very expensive. It can cost up to 4 times the departing employee's salary, and that doesn't even include lost productivity, quality issues, institutional knowledge that's lost, and of course, employee morale as people leave, friends leave, and move on. We also see a trend of job descriptions shifting. Job descriptions in general are changing in this marketplace, and they are nowadays much more focused on the ability to operate in a dynamic environment than they have been in years past. Now, all of that may be a little bit complicated, and I have to say without support, a great many companies will be challenged to navigate this changing labor market. But again, that's part of the value proposition here from Criterion Asia. The third reason that I think people should be hiring now is that fortune favors the bold. And again, it comes back to why did I want to share this today? Why did I want to bring you together to hear this message? And it's because right now there is a lot of uncertainty in this market. From my position here as Interim Managing Director, I want to share what I've learned and inspire those whose visibility may be more limited to consider how they can take impactful action right now. Based on what we're hearing from the marketplace and what we've seen elsewhere, and particularly the United States, when the situation normalizes, there will be a rush for companies looking to hire staff. And we expect the labor market to become tight very, very quickly. Many of you know that Thailand has a functionally improbable normal labor participation rate of like 99%. Technically, it shouldn't even be possible. Now we see a little bit more slack in the labor market, but we expect that to tighten up very, very quickly in the new year. And what this means is that waiting to make new hires could be very expensive or take much more time than you would otherwise expect. By taking bold action now, you can get a head start on your competition. And as I mentioned earlier, kind of a note about competition, and another shift that we've seen that I think is very relevant and I found tremendously interesting is that Thailand's a bit of a unique market in that people tend to do the things that they studied. I know my experience in North America, Canada, and the United States, most people go to university and then they do something else. They get a degree and then they find a job. In Thailand, it's very, very likely that people are doing the thing that they actually studied traditionally. But this is changing. This is changing. And it's becoming a situation now where you're much more competing for staff with a much wider pool of other employers, many of whom are not competitors for your products and or services. So this is a real dynamic change in the Thai labor market specifically that we're seeing a shift from people with specific skills, specific educational parameters that are just able to get things done or operate in uncertain environments, and these are being sought out by a wide variety of companies right now. Again, not alone. Bold doesn't have to mean reckless. That's what Criterion Asia is here for, and what we're on standby to support you doing. The fourth point is that hiring is a signal to the market, and this dovetails closely with what we heard in the last presentation. Again, in times of uncertainty, certainly your every move is being watched very closely. And if your current staff sees that the company's hiring, it signals to them that things are safe. And what this means is that top performers will know that they can have the confidence to stay with you, that they will stick it out and have the confidence to, again, continue being treated well by your company. So not only can you get staff from other companies where things are shaky, but it also means that your top staff is more likely to stick with you. It's also a powerful signal that you can share with your partners, your suppliers, and potential or existing customers about your ability to weather this challenging environment. So again, to bring it all together and to recap, top talent is hard to get in the best of times. But right now is a small window of opportunity where there's some turbulence in the market, and it's a little bit easier to shake top performers loose from where they may have been comfortable over the past several years. Number two, a wave of change is coming, and the market is shifting. And if you're not riding the wave, you may get crushed by it. Number three, fortune favors the bold. Now is the time to get a jump on your competitors and move ahead of what the market is generally doing. And number four, hiring is a signal to the market. Okay. And again, once more, there's hope. Criterion Asia is here to help. So with that, I think we'll open it up to Q&A if there are any questions for either Patrick or myself, or perhaps even some of the talent here at Criterion Asia. But thank you very much for joining today.
Thank you, Derek. And if anyone have any problem or questions, please raise your hands. Our team will allow you to turn on the microphone. But perhaps while waiting for others, I have like some questions for Patrick. So what do you see about future work trends in the future? Will people trend to work more from home, or they would love to go back to the office, or a bit of both? What do you see?
I think we will see a transition. I think we eventually going to work very differently from before, but we know it's going to happen like in one day. So I think the hybrid situation is starting to get there. Company, for example, Google and Amazon or Microsoft told in the beginning of January 2021 that they will not have to come back to work ever again. And then 6 months later, they called them all back because they changed their mind. And of course, it was too late because in the 6 month period, people say, well, if I don't have to be there, why living 5 miles away in a very expensive city? If they just told me I don't have to be there, I'm going to move to Montana. So the Silicon Valley get empty and they find a nice farm, a nice place, and a cheaper place also to be. And then, of course, 6 months later, when they were all settled, those families and engineer, they're not willing to go back and sell the house. Just bought 6 months ago to go back in. So there's a trend around the world of people of the gig economy moving around and accepting not only gig or working for the same company, but from a different place. But some companies are not ready because, as I say, the workplace was never built as a trust place to start with. And to do that, you need to have trust. And trust takes time. So by the time trust is built, they want something hybrid. So yes, I trust you halfway. You can work Monday to Wednesday from home. I want to see you once a day or once a week or twice a week. And that forces people to stay around and give a bit of control to the company at the same time. I'm not saying that working from home is only the best solution, because if you work in a creative team, it's like playing in music. If you play music by yourself, you can. I have a guitar. I'm a guitarist. I play guitar, and I can play on my song. It's fun, but it's not as fun as playing in a band. And playing in a band and creating song, this gives you something else, an extra dimension then I'm still playing my guitar, but with other people, and the dynamic it creates, that's something only human can do, no machine, no other thing. And that, if you, if you work from home, you still have space. It doesn't mean you work from home and you never go out of your place. You could be working from home and still the workplace, and some companies start doing this, they're providing a hub where they can, so cheaper than the big building. From Amazon, for example, in Seattle, they have given up all the big building. They used to own like 26 towers, or about 26 towers. It's not in Seattle, it's the other side of the lake. I forgot the name. But anyway, they don't own anything. And now those buildings, as we speak, are transforming into social apartments for the people that need it. So they have understood that the big building with your name on top, that everyone can see from miles away, this is from another time. We don't need now. It's okay. The company exists and you don't have to put your name on top of the building. So, but they still can provide a hub, a lot cheaper, more accommodating, and you can come in and out because you have meeting with your colleagues, or because you couldn't find a place to stay, or because it's too noisy at home. And so you create a hub. That's what I think the trend is going to be. A company going to provide not an office, but a hub where you can just have a desk and you bring your own mobile things and you work as long as you want because you work for the company. And it's a bit like the airport. I call it the airport VP lounge, you know, kind of thing. So your lounge, you can stay, you can have a nap, you can think, you can have a dinner, you can have a lunch, and then you go to your next destination. And I think that's what's happening. Hybrid situation, they will those who haven't come across that, they will realize that keeping an office is unnecessary and is a lot of expense for no reason. And I think eventually, I think those hub and those working from home would be the trend. That's for the company, for the employee. So it's a long answer into your question, but for the employee, I think they're going to go for company that are in place, that they're offering as much as possible what they're expecting. If by next door there's a kindergarten for my kids and it is yoga gym not far and there's a nice bakery on the other side, I sign for it. If I have to walk miles away to find that hub, and you know, and I'm not going to sign for that thing, you know, and also the management is play an important role also.
So Jen, maybe I can follow on with that just a little bit from my view as a partner of Stonelotus rather than specific Criterion. You know, what we've seen over the past certainly 20 years is a shift towards email, and as people have gotten you know, mobile phones and they've been able to take their work home with them, then the messaging, WhatsApp, Telegram, what have you, we've seen a very aggressive shift towards always being on, always being connected. And that's been very good for employers, maybe not so good for employees. And I think that the idea of work from home really is getting confused for work remotely or work not in the office. As Patrick identified, people will still want to come to the office if the environment is right and the conditions are correct. But for people working elsewhere, they're not any longer going to be willing to, I think, deal in that sort of environment. So one of the first steps that companies can make now to prepare for that trend is make as much communication asynchronous as possible. And asynchronous communication is much, much more important than work from home, I believe, because the dividends will be reaped across the board. And it's really going to allow sharp companies to reduce labor costs as well. Because, for example, here at Criterion, we can now hire staff in Chiang Mai or Khon Kaen to do whatever, to take care of some tasks that in the past would not have been possible to do from Bangkok. So we can pay them a much smaller salary because they're operating somewhere else, and it really does give us a competitive advantage. So this is something that's changing the entire landscape, and I think asynchronous communication is going to be much, much more important than where people are physically working.
All right. Thank you, Derek and Patrick. I have like a quick questions from the floor. First, one of our attendants asks, for a sales-based expertise, people who used to sales by physical visits seem to be harder to find a job, or not as or I have seen available positions are all about IT guys, not to the sales no more. So this is the quick question from the floor. So what will be a future trend for sales people who have to visit the company and present the product? It will be remain the same, or it will be kind of like can do remotely by the virtual VR AR? Is that coming on the sale as well? What do you think?
Look, I think, look, everything's changing. Everything is changing. It really is. How will it change? I don't know. But I do know that in business, nothing happens until a sale is made. So salespeople are not going anywhere. You know, there's always an opportunity for people that can, explain how an offering can meet a client's or a customer's needs. But what that looks like going forward, I can't say. However, if I understood the question correctly, it's someone that may be in the market. Feel free to send your if you have a resume, send it through to us here at contact@criterionasia.com, and we'd be happy to get you in touch with one of our people who deals with sales, with the sales vertical, and see if we can offer you guidance or advice.
I would say, yeah, and to complete what Derek just said, I would say sales job, when you're selling something, whatever you're selling, unless it's you're a doctor and you need this machine to work for a patient, and that's technical only. Any other sales that I know, it's more, especially in today's world, you're not buying a car because that car is better than this one, they're all more or less the same. You're buying this car because it's also bring you a self-image. You're buying that watch because of that. You're buying, you take an iPhone and not a Samsung because you think iPhone is, and there's a hub also connected with this. And so sales are being motivated by emotion. People are buying on emotion. And a good salesperson so far was a person that could connect on emotional level with his buyer and inflect on top of the technical criteria of the product an emotion to trigger that sales. Now, if I understand the question correctly, it's like the person find hard to connect that emotion because on a distance, this emotional thing has been harder to connect. And so the sale can be triggered because most sales are made by emotion. You're buying a house, not because it's the best. You're not analyzing the wall. You're buying because it's a nice location, because you feel you could become a family in this house and thing. And you don't care if the kitchen is the best or the second best, or if the wall has been really, or the concrete has been, this is technical part. You buy an emotion. I mean, in America, people buy a kitchen, basically. You enter, you see these things, I was visiting houses and they're buying the kitchen and they don't care if the house is built on a tent. So I remember to say, yeah, the kitchen is the best I ever seen. Too bad it's built in a tent, but in a way, but the emotion still, I wouldn't buy it, but people buy by emotion, so kind of thing. So yes, to connect on emotion, whether it's sales or whether it's other human connectivity. I'm a clinical psychologist and I had to adjust to my clients. When they were in my office, I could feel the person emotion on top of seeing the person. Now I only can see the person through a screen. I don't feel the emotion in the room anymore. And that, to my brain, it gives less information. Sales and creative person have to adjust is a tough question. But yes, I agree with Derek. Agree with you completely. If anything will go, sale will be the last one to go, because without sale, there's no business.
Thank you both. I see Karen raised your hand. Perhaps Karen can ask the questions.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for your talks. Hi, Derek. It's been a while. Patrick, I was fascinated by the way you talked about building the relationship with your employees and with your staff. It involves a lot of communication, clearly. How does one do that with a staff that you can't communicate verbally with because you don't speak the same language?
So yeah, you add in one more difficulty. So if they're already remote and you can communicate with the only tools we have by video or communication because the language barrier, that is going to be a very challenging question. But let me ask you this question in the reverse. If they were in the same office as you, how you will communicate with them if you don't speak the same language? You do sign language?
Intermediate.
You will have an
So-
interpreter. You will have a translator. Okay.
Somebody, yes.
Okay. Then maybe it's possible to carry on the same way with a three-way communications. I mean, every time you talk to these people, you will have to include in the video call a translator, the same way you would have done in the office. It's not so different, I think, but yes, it's challenging. It just reminded me when I met my wife, she didn't speak a word of English and only Vietnamese, and me, I didn't speak a word of Vietnamese. So we use that translator, as bad as it was, for everything until she learned good English enough, and we don't need that anymore. But yes, it was very challenging first year, because on the first few weeks, even I couldn't ask if you're hungry. Are you hungry? Oh, sorry. And I was making signs, it still didn't work. So because the signs are different in different languages. So this doesn't mean the same in different culture. This means I'm going to stomachache in India. So it doesn't mean you're hungry. So yes. So yeah, but the tools are fantastic. I mean, I think companies, especially companies that make tools like Zoom and all the, they have been really trying to adapt their tools that were working more or less well to the new, the normal, but it's just tools, and I think they're better than before. However, nothing replaced as a humanist, nothing replaced human connection. Yes, if you could communicate before in the office and they're remote and they don't speak the same language, bring someone they can trust you. Now, that person that translates is very important to choose well. It cannot be just anyone that speaks the language, because that will work too. But if it's a person that can speak the language and they know and trust, they will, because you don't know what they're saying. So if you ask a question which is quite a thing and they don't trust the person, because it's a double trust, it's more difficult. They have to trust you to answer you, but they first have to trust the translator, and you have to trust translator that will translate exactly what the person say, not rearrange what he says. If not, you will make a decision based on half information. So bring the trust also in the translator.
Thank you, Pratik. We have another question from Mikhail. So based on the new environment, what are the most important candidate traits in your views? How does one shine in the big landscape?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think if you want to stand out today, it's very important that you're able to operate in an uncertain environment. I think that's where business has the most challenge across the board. As I've said, early in the presentation, businesses can do very well in good times. Businesses can do okay in bad times. I mean, you see even in labor camps or prisoner of war camps, there are sometimes as business, right? You can engage in commerce in very, very trying environments. Where businesses really struggle is uncertainty. So people that are able to operate in an environment of uncertainty are very, very valued right now. And that goes across the board, regardless of what your role is, because roles are shifting, expectations are shifting, demands are shifting. And it needs to be kind of, employees need to operate with direction from above, but not necessarily specific direction rather than instructions, let's say. Whereas in the past, it was much more do this, do this, do this. Now people need to be a little bit more proactive about achieving the goals that the company's outlined for them. Another shift that we're seeing here now, of course, Criterion, we deal with typically executives and whatnot, but the companies that are particularly keen on hiring right now are very, very interested in candidates that have a mind and an eye for quality. High performing global, let's put it in different ways. The companies that have thrived through this crisis, through COVID, are the ones that are really competing on the global stage, right? If you're a Thai-based business, you're engaging in Thailand, okay, things here have been slow. The companies that have grown aggressively are the ones dealing on the world stage. And so they're being asked to operate to a world standard, and they need world-class employees. And those are harder to come by than run-of-the-mill employees. So if you can make yourself world-class in some dimension, you'll have a great advantage in the labor market today.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
And a niche market. Yes.
Thank you. Perhaps we have another question from John Patrick Howell.
Mm-hmm.
John, would you like to ask speak about your questions? perhaps I can read his question. So question from John.
I can, Chan.
Oh, all right. Okay. Hi,
Thank
John.
you. Sorry, just clicking the right button. My question is for Patrick and or for Derek. As the trends shift towards working remotely, or perhaps working from home, and AIA will be affecting the workplace, what do you foresee how management and or owners will monitor the work being done or completed? What I meaning in the past, if someone he or she was present, then the staff he or she was paid. Where if he or she's working remotely, the measurement standard or KPI perhaps is changing. What do you foresee about this?
I give you an example that happened 2 hours ago from me. I've been asked, a company from Singapore asked me how I measure people, and I say I don't measure people. So they asked me, so how do you know if they're happy? And I answer back with another question. Do you love, there was a lady, so I said, do you love your husband? Yes, very much. Can you prove it? Can you measure it? You cannot. I have to trust you on this. So again, we come back on trust. KPI and things was measured, as I said earlier, the whole model we had so far was based on non-trust. As you just say in your question, you get here, you get paid. You're not here, you not get paid. That means I don't trust you if you work outside or not. Now, this has to change, right? This has to change. I mean, so I have to trust you that you work whether I monitor that or not. I'm not going to install a camera at your place. That would be against the law and don't have a time if you have. So you're right. The way of measuring success is different for an employee and also for the company. And I think all these tools, and I'm sure there's plenty of people trying to cleverly redesign those measurements because they need to have a number. I understand number is very important. As a leader, I'll tell you something. If I manage a team and I have a very good connection with all my team, I will know. If you're my best friend, John, and one day we talk again and I see your face completely different, I say, John, what happened? And I know that. So this morning, when I asked my wife if she slept well, you know, she didn't answer, but I could see in her face. I didn't say, excuse me, could you please quickly inform the app, and I will measure that on my new KPI to see if you're happy with me or not. If I marry her, it's because I know something about her, and I should be able to identify by looking at her, by all the things. You know, that most of them communication, 80% of human communication is non-verbal. Non-verbal. So everything we do through a machine is definitely verbal, because I have to type in or even record something is a verbal. But every communication, 80% of human being communication is non-verbal. I will suggest the leader to become fluent in those non-verbal communication, because this is something they have I think they rely too much. For me, this is good news. They have relied too much on a tool to measure. And I think it's time they open up a little bit to see a human as a human and not just as a thing. I'm horrified by the name of all the human resources has changed name. It was a personal name, a personal department, and then become human resources. So we're no longer human, we become resource. And now it's changed again with HC, human, what's it called again? Composite almost, like it's not composite, but we become like a value on the stock market. You know, as I say, sign me up to Mars if you become like this, because I would like to remain human as long as I can, please. When you measure, you know, I would say another way, if you put a first in a classroom, you take a children, if you measure people, okay, you put a first in a class, you already choose who is last. But we know that children and people don't learn at the same pace. So by placing one, so for example, you're measuring what? How fast I'm running? Maybe I'm a very slacking runner. I hate running. It doesn't mean I'm useless in a team. You know, so what are you measuring? And all these measurements, you know, it's like a survey. It's like you can make the numbers speak the way you want it to. The best way, the best human way is to maybe stop measuring people and to feel the people better, to be compassionate and to know the people. Because believe me, if there's a trust, if there's a compassion, they will come to you if something wrong. You don't have to measure them. They will come to you because they trust you. Now, if they don't trust you, you'll have to ask them through an app because they don't even dare talk into your face. So they would have to enter a survey where it's completely anonymous, where they don't put the name because they're so afraid of telling you what they think about you that they don't put the name. They cowardly. No, if you have a real relationship, say, look, John, I really appreciate what you do, but today I disagree with you. Can we have a talk? Because I didn't appreciate what you did last time. And that, if you're my friends or if you have an open mind, we will figure it out as humans do. But that's my humanistic approach, you know.
I think
Very, very good. Thank you.
Patrick's spot on. I think another thing he said is what I would disagree with. I think at the same time, we have to move from an environment where we judge people from where they are to what they produce. What is the output? And if the output's being made, if the output's being produced, great. What's the market value of that output? Let's pay people for it. A funny thing, a strange thing, I encourage here at Criterion, all my companies, I encourage my staff to go out and interview with other companies. I say, if someone calls you and asks you to come for an interview, go take the interview, go take the interview, go talk to them, find out what they're all about, find out how much you're worth in the market, find out what you're doing that adds value in the market, and come back and let's talk about it. And if someone that works for me can find a tremendous opportunity where they can add a lot more value somewhere else, I celebrate their departure. By all means, please go do it. Otherwise, you're here and you're adding value, and you're contributing to what we do. We'll pay you as much as we can for that. So it's kind of, we need to shift a little bit from a scarcity mentality to a mentality of abundance, and say, listen, there's, you will get paid as much as we can pay you for the output that you produce. If you're not producing output, well, then that's not going to be a very big number, right? But none of that depends on someone being there. And furthermore, again, this comes back to what I said about asynchronous work. It's a lot easier to measure output when work is asynchronous, right? I would much rather have someone produce something and get it back to me on Friday than answer my questions, immediately and have them be of low value. That makes sense.
Thank you both, Patrick and Derek. So another question, a pretty good question from Lisa from Sasin Experience. So do you consider this period an employees or employers market? She feel that employees have unreasonably high expectations of every company now, especially the younger generations.
First there, yeah.
Go ahead, Derek.
No, please.
No, please. You first.
I said I have to think about it.
Okay, sorry, I didn't hear. Well, my first reaction on this, and I like real estate. Most of my friends are in real estate, so I really understand the way the question is formulated. It's clever. Is that a buyer market or a seller market? I think it's both at the same time, because yeah, I think it's both. I don't think the advantage is no more on the employer and employee. The employer I will have to okay, let's take the real estate. And if a company is a house, the house is no longer the standard. So you have to do some renovation, roughly. And the buyer will have to either wait for the renovation to be made, or can also influence the way the renovation is made. Or if you're going to change the kitchen, can I say something? Can I have the kitchen this way then? And maybe, I hope, that I will speak like both will listen to each other and make the change that they both like. Because if you change, if not you're taking a guess, you're changing something in your company and you're hoping for the best. You're hoping that they will like what you just changed. Why don't you ask what they want instead of think that your 1970 yellow kitchen would do better and then no one like it? So I think since everything is changed and is changing now, why not considering both what the market wants compared to what you can offer. And that's exactly what it is. You have to, you're about to recruit, you want to know what they're looking for. And also you keep in mind what your goals are and trying to adapt your goal to what the market is. If not, you're missing your target. That means like you're going to offer something that no one wants, no one will work for you. If you're selling a product that is genius, but no one wants to buy, you're not going to sell one, even if it's the best product in the world. You have to answer the market. And it's the same thing with the market when you recruit. You know, what do they want? If they want more free time, give them more free time. If they want to develop their personal development compared to the career at the same time, you have to give them the time to do that. So, you know, and so you have to make room for that. So this is what I think. I think it's a both market. This is my answer.
I think it's a great question, and I think the answer is like any good question. The answer is it's complicated. Mm-hmm. I think a few things. I think that look, if you think that finding employees is difficult now, just wait until those people can work anywhere, which is coming very quickly, right? Right now, if you're a smart English-speaking person in Thailand, you can get a good job in Thailand. Very soon, you're going to be able to get a job in the United States, in New York, in San Francisco, in Los Angeles. The market is becoming very flat very quickly. If you as a company are not adding value, if you cannot use your human capital to add a tremendous amount of value, you're going to get closed out of the market very quickly on a global scale. And again, in my position as president of the Thai Canadian Chamber of Commerce, I deal with the Board of Trade, I deal with the Ministry of Commerce, and this has been something that I've communicated, which is, you know, we understand in Thai, the role of Thai government is to protect Thai industry and to protect Thai business, and you do that through, you know, regulation and tariffs and what have you. The mistake that a lot of bureaucrats are making today is thinking that they are protecting Thai business by blocking competition. Because Thai business is already competing on the world stage. They just don't know it yet. And the lack of having to be aggressive about that competition means that Thai business isn't necessarily being aggressive as they might otherwise be to find efficiencies and to maximize value from capital, whether that's money, land, or people. Mm-hmm. So that's on the one side, you know, people are demanding what they can get away with, and it's only going to get worse. On the other side, you know, I think that as business owners and as business people, we have to remember the real minimum wage is zero, you know, and we're going to see a lot of automation. We're going to see a lot of, I guess let's just put it all under the umbrella of automation. And that's going to change the labor market very dramatically as well. So I think you have to pay what the market asks, but it's got to be tied to output. And if the output of the high demanding employee does not allow you to make a profit, then you have to change something about your business model. That's the bottom line.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Derek and Patrick. Do we have more questions from the audience? Please feel free to raise your hand or drop it in the chat box.
I would certainly encourage anyone, if anyone has any follow-up questions or something occurs to you later, please by all means reach out to us here at Criterion. Again, the email address is contact, CONTACT @CriterionAsia.com. Be happy to help you answer any questions or queries you might have at that time.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Derek. All right. I think we seem to have everything has been clear, so no one have any further questions. Again, I would like to thank you everyone for your time and participating in this webinar. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Derek and Criterions. This is the record webinar, so we will post it online for those you might want to circulate to others that couldn't attend, but they would like to follow up on the record. So before we adjourn, I would like to encourage everyone to turn on your camera so we can have like a bit of the group photos before, so we can post on our social media that we have the CanCham webinar events. All right.
I would like to add like a quick conclusion. I really hope the world, and it's by COVID, but it also affects obviously everything we do in business. And I really hope that that fear of COVID will eventually leave us behind, and we have to live with it. Just as a doctor, just remind you that no one has ever killed viruses since the beginning of this planet was created. So you cannot kill a virus. So hoping the virus to disappear, that's not going to happen. COVID-19 was there in nature for centuries and millennium. It's just happened and we discover it, but it was there all the time. And then we have to include this. So as soon as the economy understands that, then we will go back to a sort of normal, but I think things will change. And I think I'm very hopeful for the future, because the change we will just talk about today, some of the change was lacking, and we were demanding that change for a long time. And COVID, thanks to our little friends here, have accelerated that change for the workplace. And for me, as an organizational psychologist, it's something I'm really looking forward to see what human being can come up with to a better model than it was before.
Thank you, Patrick, for the recap. And Derek, do you have anything to say to the audience?
Well, thank you all. Maybe Jen, you want to make a quick pitch for the Christmas party?
Oh, sure. Apart from again, CanCham is organizing the Christmas parties on the December 18th at the Marriott Toronto. So all the information is provided on the website. So after this event, we will circulate the invitations to everyone to attend. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, and have a good afternoon.